Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Summoner's War Beginner Guide series. We are back after a short break, not a break from Summoner's War, but content creation. I was figuring out some stuff. There were a few audio encoder issues that I wanted to solve because of course I don't want to upload videos to you guys if there's any sort of issues with them. So I tried to get all that worked out, and I think I have it all worked out now, so I'm coming out with this video. This is, I guess, a sort of re-record because I made a video about all this same information, but of course there were audio issues, so I wasn't going to upload it, and so now I'm creating that video again when of course the planes are flying over. So anyways, on the last video that I uploaded, I saw some very rightful concern about the ability for newer players to obtain monsters like Hraesvelg and Hua. Everyone has different RNG, and you might not be lucky enough to see those monsters often enough in the guild shop in order to, pull and summon them. And so, of course, I have 6-starred and max leveled Lupinus, and she will be the other unit that I put in this team with Lapis, and of course replace Hraesvelg with Megan to give you guys a even more farmable option than the Hua Hraesvelg route. So if you haven't pulled those monsters yet, this team is also very, very viable. I will say right now this team has the exact same or almost identical success rate in 300 runs as the Hraesvelg and Hua team that I showed in the previous video, which is relatively successful, 93% or better success rate depending on the day, but it's around 93-94% in the few hundred runs that I did. So I'm very happy with this team. You may say, oh, well, didn't you preach pretty early on about not having a lot of multi-hitters and giants, because having more multi-hits leads to you being revenged procced on by the boss more often? However, in this scenario, the multi-hits are providing so much utility where, the attack bar from Lapis and attack bar reduction from Lapis and the attack bar reduction and crazy damage from Lupinus, it just provides you the extra turns where you're not going to be getting hit by AoEs. So if something does happen to die by getting a single target smack, they're probably going to be buying your team time, to deal more damage or whatever they need to do to the boss. So the runes on this team are fairly decent. They're okay. They definitely could be better. The more attack I have on Lupinus, the more damage she could do during the waves and help us clear that, which is nice. Of course, Sigmaris is our heaviest hitter here. Lapis is almost a utility unit. Not to say she's a terrible unit, because most of our progression is thanks to Lapis through the early game into basically our first Giant Speed 10 team, and then into our first faster Giant Speed 10 team. Lapis is a very core unit. However, her damage, her base attack, and her multipliers are not that great, especially when compared with units like Sigmaris. With units like Rang, pretty soon we'll have her all built up and ready to go. Those units just have much better rune scaling and can output a different level of damage. But Lapis provides AoEs, the attack lead. Should we come up with a team that wants that attack lead over Sigmaris' HP lead, that attack bar reduction is very relevant because it buys our team a lot more turns, since she has attack bar reduction on her 3rd skill and her 1st skill. She also has the backup defense break, which is pretty nice. If it happens to be that we kill these 2 golems here and it's just the mid-boss, if Lapis gets that 2nd skill off, it's almost a certain defense break, even though it doesn't have a crazy high harmful effect rate, and she doesn't have a lot of accuracy, just because you have 4 opportunities to hit that defense break with the 2nd skill. So that's kind of nice. And the multiplier on it's better than her 1st and 3rd skill, so the damage output is pretty nice for the mid-boss too. So why do we have Lupinus here? Lupinus' 3rd skill has max HP scaling damage. A lot like Sigmaris, she's going to do greater damage against bosses since they have higher max HP. In addition to that, she has 2 AoEs like Lapis. She's got the AoE on the 1st skill and the AoE on the 3rd skill. That attack bar reduction and max HP base damage is like an AoE, so you could almost think of Lupinus kind of as a hybrid between Sigmaris and Lapis, where you're getting the benefits of the AoE and you're getting benefits of the max HP base damage. She brings this utility in the silence, even though it's a multi-hit. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you silence the boss is not going to use his second skill. The second skill has a higher multiplier, therefore it can do more damage to your team. So it's not crazy relevant skill. It's not at all more relevant than attack buff, but it's just one more extra thing that she does. In addition, it's a pretty decent multiplier, and it's not random. Unlike Lapis's second skill, it's not random, so all the hits will hit the boss, which for better or worse, you know, it does provide you with more damage, even though it is stacking up that that revenge counter. So team's pretty successful. I do have her built on Despair because not only does she work very well in Giants for helping you clear these waves and really helping you take down the mid-boss and boss more quickly, and providing your team with, you know, pretty good some extra sustainability or survivability as a result of the attack bar reduction. She's also very good in TOA for the same reasons, especially when you get into things like TOA hard on the boss stages, on stages where you don't want you know, an enemy to move and you really want to attack bar reduce them while doing some pretty decent damage. Lupinus's third skill, AoE attack bar reduction, which is pretty crazy. It's got the damage based on max HP, so you're going to help kill those bosses faster. So at stage 100, you know, the boss has a pretty ridiculous amount of HP, whether it's the female bosses or the male boss. So that's pretty nice. And Lupinus and Lapis together as a combo can really attack bar reduce like crazy. On top of all that, she's a win monster. Getting back to why she's great in Giants. Being a win monster, she gets that bonus 15% crit rate. She has the chance that the Giant's going to glance her. So even though she has all these multi-hits, we actually kind of hope that Lupinus takes the revenge hit. Because if she does, she's a lot less likely to get, you know, just murdered by it than, you know, our other units which aren't win. So pretty successful team. I'll go ahead and show you guys the runes before we move on. Here's what it looks like right now. Speed, crit damage, attack on Lapis. Pretty decent runes. I try to give her as good of runes as I can. Of course, she doesn't get my primary damage dealer set. Here's my Sigmaris, of course, still on the Swift set that she's been on for a while. So a pretty good, pretty high quality set of runes for Sigmaris. Next we have our Lupinus. Lupinus is pretty good. Lupinus is actually an attack crit damage attack. For using Lupinus in TOA, I would recommend more of a speed crit damage attack build, or even speed crit damage HP if you plan on using her in TOA hard and you need extra survivability, because her HP value is very good. 10,875 is pretty good. She is an HP type unit, which is why she has that higher base HP. But I have her on attack, crit damage attack, because I'm just trying to hit the highest numbers possible on the waves leading up to the boss. These are really good runes. Well, some of these runes are pretty good runes. Purple 6-star rune right here, so the rune quality I have on her is pretty decent. However, she's still really slow. The turn order, I would try to follow the turn order that I do to the best of your ability. Of course, you want your Megan to move, and then your Bella to move, and then, you know, your AoE damage dealers, and then you follow up with your whatever your big single target damage dealer is. This is just an example team, but it's a team that I believe you guys can follow pretty well because everything is fusible, farmable, or given to you at the very beginning of the game. So it's pretty obtainable. Bella's runes haven't changed either. Just a swift broken build. Speed, HP. I mean, Bella's on very, very bad runes in my opinion. Low defense, low HP, mediocre speed, but I did worry about getting really good accuracy, because of course the higher your accuracy, the higher your chance of landing that defense break at the mid-boss, and the mid-boss has ridiculously high resistance, over 100%, so every single percent in accuracy you can get is going to give you a little bit more reliability. So that's why I did that. Megan's still 5-star. I gave her the minimum accuracy for Giants. Well, she's, you know, 6% higher. She's at 51% accuracy, speed, HP, defense. She's on speed, HP, defense because I am going to need her defense to be pretty good for something that I'm working on in the near future, which we can move right into pretty flawlessly right now, or pretty seamlessly, because we're done talking about the Giants team. What I'm worrying about next is the Rift Beasts. What? Yes, I'm going into the Rift Beasts before I'm going into Dragons, because I want to show you guys how much of the content you can clear in the game without overwhelming yourself with the different rune sets and the different rune types. Now, Violent has its perks. Violent's great. Violent is very fun, but when you're looking at the core values of sets, and when you're trying to just clear further in PvE content, the player versus enemy content, you know, clearing different dungeons in the game, getting faster Giants times, all of that, Violent isn't necessarily going to help you do that. In fact, at one point in time, I'm going to show you guys how to clear Necro without touching dragons either. I'll have no violent runes in any of my units. My favorite sets, in fact, from dragons are actually going to be Shield and Revenge. Those are going to be very, very impactful on this account. And if you guys have been watching my main account, you will see that Shield runes and Revenge runes have made a pretty big impact there as well, in different areas of the game, of course. Shield runes will help you for a more YOLO team, if you're going for more damage and you don't, you just want to have as many damage dealers as possible crammed into a team. Shield runes gives you almost a safety net, an extra few thousand health worth of damage that you could take each wave, all that kind of stuff. I love that. And Revenge, of course, helps you everywhere in Raid, PvP, even PvE to some extent in Necro if your team, if you're just getting into an earlier team. So we are going into Rift Beasts next. The reason is I do want to start farming reappraisal stones as soon as possible. The reason for that being, as you get these nice 6-star legendary runes, or even just any kind of 6-star legendary rune from Giants, I don't know if I have any great examples, but as you get these 6-star legendary runes from Giants, you want to be able to reappraise them if they're not great runes. Like this rune, maybe I want a better speed rune, but even more so for runes like an attack percent slot 2 or crit damage slot 4, runes where you're not going to see a lot of them, but you have 1 or 2 that are legendary. Those would be candidates for reappraisal. Like this rune, for example, it's a crit damage slot 4, and it has a max roll of accuracy built into it, so it's a very, very ideal candidate for being reappraised. Ideally, we look for speed, crit rate, attack, and HP, for example, on this rune for a really efficient Hua rune. I mean, even speed, crit rate, HP, defense, whatever, any combination of those stats could be very, very efficient for Hua, and that's what we'd be looking for. But whatever, you can see that this rune did not roll optimally at all. It rolled 1 roll into crit rate, 2 rolls into flat attack, and 1 roll into flat HP. So, but because it's a legendary rune and only reappraise legendary runes, I can't get this across enough. With that max roll built-in substat, it's like it just has so much potential to be an extremely efficient rune, and a rune that we're going to keep around forever. Of course, in its current state, it's essentially a blue rune to me because I don't value the flat attack, nor do I value the flat HP. Yes, it's a stat increase, but it's not what we're looking for. So that would be, the type of rune that we would be farming reappraisals for. So I'm in the process of building up teams for each of the core Rift Beasts, or each of the core element Rift Beasts. So we're going to be working on fire, we're going to be working on water, and we're going to be working on wind. And of course, I'm going to go through each one, talk about the core mechanics with you guys, and start helping you guys build teams to efficiently score an S rank, on each one of them. Because if you're getting less than an S rank, then your energy efficiency goes way down, because you're getting, exponentially less resources as the grade you are completing the B stat goes down. We'll talk about this more in depth later. But the reason I really want to start, talking about this right now is because I am in the process of building up some units for it, just so you guys have an idea of maybe what units you should keep. I know that, when you're trying to progress and make 6 stars as quickly as possible, it's really easy to get into the feeding mentality and feed every monster you see to help yourself make those 6 stars faster. I totally get it. It's a process I've gone through on my main and my other accounts. When you're really trying to push toward a goal, you just kind of want to get there as quickly as possible, so you start feeding stuff that maybe you were saving because it had potential. Stuff I'm working on right now doesn't necessarily mean you guys have to, but something to keep in mind. Of course, Orang, I've talked about her a lot. Nice unit for speeding up your Giant Speed 10, great attack power lead, crazy damage on her skill 3. Like seriously, her skill 3 can kill the boss from 75% health, can kill a mid boss from 75% health, all depending on your rune quality in your team. On my main, she's a core unit in my Giant Speed 10 team, and she, one-shots the mid boss in a lot of situations. As long as he's above half health and he doesn't have access to his damage reduction passive, she can do insane damage, and even if he does, she can do insane damage. Another unit that can pair really, really well with the Orang especially is going to be Argon, the Wind Vampire. By the way, these are both Fusion Nat 4s, so extremely obtainable. Check your Fusion Circle and see what you need to keep for them. synergizes really well with her. She's got that wind lead, which makes him stronger. And then he's got this amazing third skill, which does increase damage based on harmful effects. So just from her harmful effects on her third skill alone, being attack speed reduction, attack power reduction, and defense break, he's going to have 75% additional damage. On top of that, any other sort of damage effects you have, whether you have dots, whether you have Hraesvelg for a brand, whether you have Lupinus for a slow or a silence, you know, every additional harmful effect is going to increase his damage by 25%, and his multipliers and his base stats are really, really good at 6-star max level. So your Argon moving after your Orang can just kill anything. It'll destroy, you know, giant mid-boss, giant boss. These guys are going to be really influential when we're making these Rift teams where we want to hit that S rank and do, you know, 3 million plus damage in our teams. So they're going to be really, really important there. Another unit that I'm getting ready to build up that I've never built, and I will tell you guys, I've never built this on any account before, but really, you know, trying to make an account that efficiently uses these 3 stars, and I don't want to force anybody to use, you know, the Nat 4s who don't have access to them. This is a Nat 3 unit that has access to branding. Previously, we talked about Hraesvelg. Hraesvelg is farmable from the Guild Magic Shop. However, that may take a long time depending on how your RNG goes, depending on how active you are and how active your guild is, so whether or not you're going to have you know, all the slots expended in your guild for that. Here's a Nat 3 unit that has access to brand, completely farmable, and he's a secret dungeon, which makes it even easier to get skill ups for him. So 2-turn brand, pretty good damage effect. In addition to that, harmful effects increase his chance to just straight up ignore defense, which is even crazier. If you have 3 harmful effects during the groggy state, which is, you know, the max amount of bonus you can get, then his ignore defense chance goes up to 50%, which is, I mean, nuts. After you have the brand on there, he's just hitting for stupid numbers, ignores damage reduction. He does a lot of really great stuff, and in your teams he could just greatly increase your damage during that groggy state when you're trying to hit those really, really high numbers. So yeah, those are the units that I'm working on, just in case you guys were curious about why my box was looking kind of weird, why you guys might have been seeing some units that were unfamiliar or weren't talked about. I will show you guys really momentarily the storage. I usually don't want to go into storage because I don't want, you know, to show you all the stuff I pull on the side, because as I summon scrolls along the way, I do pull Nat 4s and things of that nature. I do want to say that I really, the reason I didn't want to show you guys is the same reason I do want to show you guys, which is I want to really get across the point of make sure you focus on your core teams, on whatever your goal is. And if your goal is improving giants, then you have to really make sure that if you want to improve giants the most quickly, you know, the fastest way and the most efficient way, then you have to, you know, really narrow your focus onto units that are going to help you there. You know, so just because you have a Nat 5 doesn't mean you have to build it. I understand it's fun. I understand you want to. I'm just saying for the sake of just sheer speed and efficiency with progression on your account in the long run, waiting to build those Nat 5s will lead you to faster progression, more progression. And of course, this is the free-to-play account, so I can't use these Nat 5s. I can't use this Talia or a lot of these, you know, other Nat 4s that I've pulled along the way. And I'm not going to tell you what kind of monsters I've fed so far, guys, because it really hurts my, like, my, you know, semi-free-to-play heart on you know, most of my accounts. It's like, oh, these monsters would have been useful elsewhere. But that's what I've been up to. I'm saving fusion food along the way to fuse for other monsters, and in the next video I will hopefully have some more monsters built up and some better runes so I can start showing you guys what I'm going to be doing in the next video. So if you guys enjoyed, please like and comment. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And if you guys comment, I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as possible. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.